Michigan grad students. So we covered this story last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, where they were fighting for, better pay and better working conditions. So the same writer that had guested 2 weeks ago, Ryan McCarty, wrote a follow-up article to say that this strike is continuing in the face of increasing retaliation. So what's going on? I love getting story updates like this. And of course, this was published in Left Voice, which is an Indie Media Award honoree. You can go find all the links to all the channels for the honorees at indiemediaawards.com. All right. Well, I didn't hear Reef's sound, so...
Why is my sound... That's because my soundboard isn't on.
Uh-oh.
What? I had to reset right before the showtime. My browser crashed. So now when I do it...
Nice.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay.
And why does it say speakers the first time? Like, programs are weird.
Hello, speakers.
They just are.
So let's switch over to this view. Grad student workers at University of Michigan have been winning a series of small skirmishes in their strike against a huge billionaire institution. But university administration has shown the darker side of their corporate-style approach to negotiating with their own students, turning increasingly to violence in the face of community support for strikers. Well, we know about the strike, which began on March 29th, came after several months of negotiations, were often stalled by administration in moves to limit the format of bargaining meetings. When the roughly 2,400 grad student workers overwhelmingly voted in favor of strike, the admin immediately filed for an injunction against the grad employee organization. We talked about the GO chapter representing grad workers, right? But at the evidentiary hearing on April 10th, and we were following up from this before, Judge Carol Kunke denied the request, noting that any harm caused by the strike was not significant enough for court intervention. And the hearing was a particularly embarrassing one for the university because at one point its representation grossly suggested that they were only able to find one undergrad student to testify against grad workers because, like in a domestic violence case, witnesses might not show up because they fear retaliation. They literally went to domestic violence as the equivalent for why nobody would testify against their union. The judge ordered the comments stricken from the record. The judge also heard testimony from one department chair who admitted locking out graduate workers as punishment prior to confirming whether they were on strike or not. With the threat of an injunction aside, GO hoped to move forward with negotiations, but the university administration continued to refuse to discuss the cost of living raises and the union's broader social justice demands, which again, they're pushing off to say that that's not a union negotiable item, that is a policy item for the administration to deal with, which they announced on April 20th that any grad students who had not already completed a work attestation stating that they had not been striking would have their April pay cut to $100. Well, because they were on strike. So in a mark of especially dark irony, when grad students picketed the pricey downtown restaurant where University President Santa Ono was having dinner that evening, U of M police came from campus and detained several strikers who were only later released when bystanders protested that the picketers had broken no laws. So these guys went and protested the university president at a restaurant downtown, and they got university cops to leave campus, go off campus where they had no jurisdiction, and haul these kids back to campus and put them in jail. Wow.
Right.
In a press release distributed on April 24th, the admin further threatened to deploy police violence, noting that in the case of any activity that interferes with the rights of others of the lawful operations and functions of a building or other unlawful behavior, DPSS officers will intervene. Wow.
I mean, this is Pinkertoning without Pinkertoning.
Yes, Martin, this is live over on the Rockfin and over on the Rumble. Everybody, rockfin.com/IND-Left-News, rumble.com/C/independent-left-news, all one word.
Plus 30330.
Yes. You can also go to independentleft.media, and that'll have all the links to all the channels. So at the same time, the administration increased the pressure on faculty to scab their own students. We know this, to scab out, calling on departments to alter instruction and, as the end of the semester nears, modify course materials and assessments to make sure that students are assigned grades by the end of the semester. I think that's reasonable, and I can understand why the admin would want that. But because grad student workers are often the instructors of record, this means that final grades would be assigned by someone who is not present in the course all semester and may even have met the students, never have even met the students in question. The point for the administration is not about education, but avoiding disruption, so grades are rendered more or less arbitrary. Oh, that's nice. How much how much for an A? How much for a B in sociology? Because my professor, my grad student's on strike. That's effectively what they're doing.
I mean, a trip to Russia for Russian studies for Tallahassee kids,
Right? So the point for the administration is not about, like I said, on April 21st, the typically cautious faculty senate fiercely rebuked the administration's call to outsource grading demands, calling it a violation of professional ethics. That's the minimum.
Who are they?
Yeah, look.
So their ethics board is terrible too.
They're at least saying that it's a violation of it, but the university was unabashed and tried to further leverage institutional power by claiming that if final grades were not entered by someone, university officers would be forced to cancel student financial aid for the coming school year, because part of that financial aid is dependent on grades, and if you don't have grades, how do you give the aid?
Right.
In a letter to a faculty,
I thought grades were arbitrary.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that yes, they'd rather have an arbitrary nothing in the face of zero, but. In a letter to faculty, the dean, Ann Curzan, stoked fears that withholding grades would negatively affect students, claiming that, quote, delayed grades and/or no and R's or I's as a final grade. No result, I guess.
No shows or whatever.
Right. Could result in students having their federal loans recalled, their financial aid stopped, their eligibility for sports and attendant financial packages stopped. However, this warning misrepresents how aid is distributed. Right, a consultant from the Federal Student Aid and Information Center indicated that these decisions are based on individual institutions' policies. What a surprise! So the University of Michigan does not have its hands tied, and in fact has authority to determine whether a student continues to be eligible for aid. This fact is inadvertently underscored in a similarly threatening email to department chairs from Associate Dean Tim McKay, in which he warned that immediately after the semester ends, quote, the registrar's office will run a report to determine the academic standing of every student, and on May 4th, the Office of Financial Aid will determine whether each student is maintaining satisfactory academic process. So it's all in-house. And then they're turning around and blaming it on federal stuff. However, that rapid grade audit is a choice that the university is making, fully aware of why student transcripts might be missing grades. This move is designed to explicitly pit GO members against their students. Yep. They're good at doing that. They know how to break strikes. If aid to students is affected or any other academic eligibilities are disrupted, it will clearly be the university administration's order, part of their increasingly aggressive strike-breaking tactics. The authoritarian and anti-intellectual nature of the administration's attacks have shaken the campus, leading to increasing calls from workers in every corner of the university to organize a response. Good. Unfortunately, workers at the University of Michigan don't have a clear way to push back against the admin in a more coordinated way, like workers from across Rutgers campuses have recently.
Rutgers, I was about to say. Yeah.
So graduate student instructors and lecturers are members of separate unions that bargain in alternating schedules, while most staff are all tenure-track faculty are not currently unionized. So further complicating such divisions is the fact that graduate student research assistants are barred from unionizing as part of a series of laws designed to weaken labor. Of course they are. Of course. We need to get that on the thing. But we need to get like Jimmy doing it or something, making fun of him.
A kid.
Right. A new bill introduced into the state Senate this month would lift these restrictions, leaving GEO the task of organizing research assistants across departments. That might be good. Such organizing tasks could be the first steps toward the creation of a coalition of grad students, postdoctoral researchers, lecturers, tenure-track faculty, and staff alongside other workers and community members. Now you're talking about building a real union. That work is certainly going to be challenging and slow, but grad students, workers, and their allies are laying the groundwork, increasing support among faculty members and making connections with construction locals who frequently respected the pickets since early April, slowing some of the university's large-scale profit development projects. That's cool. Solidarity. I like that. As the semester comes to an end, allies in Southeast Michigan and from broader circles will be even more necessary. Vocal support of grad student workers like this one, including pledges by faculty not to scab at the end of the semester, you're talking days away. Condemnation of the university's administration's tactics, donations to GEO's strike fund will all be necessary. Please support that strike fund. Again, go to Left Voice, find this article. I'll put it in the chat afterwards or in the description. It'll be in the doobly-doo, as Reef likes to call it. But University of Michigan seems determined to be the leaders and the best of the strike breakers, but they're facing an increasingly unified community, ready to act together and hold out and win, even in the face of such overwhelming financial and institutional powers. And I wish them all the luck and skill and support, solidarity. Yep.
Well, and this is in turn with, I think it's May 11th, me and Colin talked about, that student debt is, you're going to have to pay it back. Like, that's coming back.
Yeah.
May 11th, because the COVID emergency is over.
Emergency, yes. They are stopping. They're resuming the payments of student loans for college, I guess. I don't know if there were student loans for anything else, but yeah, anything that was paused because of COVID is now no longer there.